O triple form of darkness, somber splendor, thou moon unseen of men, thou huntress dread, thou crowned demon of the crownless dead, O breaths of blood, too bitter and too tender, unseen of gentle spring, let me the offering bring to thy shrine, sepulchral glittering. I slay the swart beast, I bestow the bloom, sown in the dusk and gathered in the gloom, under the waning moon at midnight, hardly lightening the east, and the black lamb from the black ew's dead womb I bring, and stir the slow infernal tune, fit for thy chosen priest. Here, where the band of ocean breaks the road, black trodden, deeply stooping to the abyss, I shall salute thee with a nameless kiss, pronounced toward the uttermost abode of thy supreme desire. I shall illume the fire, whence thy wild sturgis shall obey the lyre, whence thy lemurs shall gather and spring round, girdling me in the sad funereal ground, with faces turned back, my face averted, I shall consummate the awful act of worship. O renowned fear upon earth, and fear in hell, and black fear in the sky, beyond fate. I hear the whining of thy wolves, I hear the howling of the hounds about thy form, who comest in the terror of thy storm, and night falls faster ere thine eyes appear, glittering through the mist. O face of woman unkissed, save by the dead whose love is taken ere they wist. Thee I call, O dire one, O divine. I, the sole mortal, seek thy deadly shrine. Pour the dark stream of blood, a sleepy and reluctant river, even as thou drawest with thine eyes on mine, to me across the sense bewildering flood that holds my soul forever.
93, everyone. Or should I say, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Welcome, everybody, to Horizon Lodge's celebration of the invocation of the moon, the Path of Qoph, and the Spirit of Pisces. Thank you all for being here tonight. This is the final working in a series of 22 workings that was started nearly 2 years ago when the pandemic started. And we've just been going through the tarot cards and the paths one by one, and finally we've reached the end. So this is the end of the Zodiacal series. Thanks to everybody who's been there with us for this entire time. Your support has been amazing, and I just love doing these for you. Going forward, the COVID situation looks much better. Just looking at here in Seattle, we've had a few days on the graph where our cases hit 0 for a little bit, so looking very amazing. And so with that, we are going to be returning to full operation. We've been doing one mass a month at Horizon, but we are going to actually be returning to doing regular rituals there as well. So the spring ritual will be a ritual written by some of our members. I believe Brother Jim is going to be the lead on that. You also heard him giving the invocation to Hecate in the opening. But that will be in March. So stay tuned to that, and we hope to see everybody in the area out there. we probably will be discussing doing 231 rituals at the lodge too. I'd love to be able to chant in person with everybody, maybe do some live drumming as well. But for tonight, we will be doing the moon, and the moon card. Oh, before I say that too, there is a donation link at the bottom of this page. So all donations go to support our temple space in Lower Magnolia in Seattle. So please give if you can. It really helps us. So tonight we will be invoking the Spirit of the Moon card from Crowley's Liber 231. I'll read some things related to the tarot card, mostly from Crowley's Book of Thoth, but peppered in with a few other things related to the path. And then there will be a hymn to Poseidon, which is associated with this path as well, being very much a sort of a path associated with the sea and creatures of the sea, being Pisces. And and after that, we will get into the chanting and the drumming. As per usual, we will be chanting the name of the spirit for 11 minutes, and then there'll be a period of scrying for around 10 minutes. And then there'll be some shorter periods of chanting and scrying after that, just to sort of reiterate if you've been sitting there and need a little boost. So tonight, the spirit's name is, since it's the Path of Qoph, starts with a Q. We've chosen to pronounce it Qua-need na yaks Ipamai. And so this will be displayed on the screen during that part, and you'll hear us chanting as well. So please chant along. For scrying, again, if you don't know how to scry, best advice is to close your eyes, be silent, and just see what comes to you. Take note of those things. They could be auditory or visual, or even as minor seeming as sort of a good brainstorming session around the card. Like you might have ideas related to the card, or might have some interpretation that dawns on you suddenly. Write those all down and contemplate them as we are in the sign of Pisces at the moment, and so that might bear some fruit. So, without further ado, I will get into the reading. Oh, also, hi to everybody in the chat. There's Semi-Auto Magic. Nice to see you. I don't think I've seen your name here before. DR, good to see you again. Thanks for the donation. And Mary, great to see you as well. So, without further ado, I will get into the reading. And thou must work by the light of the moon. By her spells she invoked the scarab, the Lord Khephrah, so that the waters were cloven, and the illusion of the powers was destroyed. See here, ATU XVIII, the moon, also known as the ruler of flux and reflux, the child of the sons of the mighty. The 18th trump is attributed to the letter Qoph, which represents Pisces in the zodiac. The moon, partaking as she does of the highest and the lowest, and filling all the space between, is the most universal of the planets. In her higher aspect, she occupies the place of the link between the human and the divine, as is shown in ATU II, the High Priestess, connecting Tipharoth up to Kathir. In this trump, the one for tonight, her lowest avatar, she joins the earthly sphere of Netzach with Malkuth, the culmination in matter of all superior forms. This is the waning moon, the moon of witchcraft and abominable deeds. She is the poisoned darkness, which is the condition of the rebirth of light. This card represents the state of impure horror, hidden darkness which must be passed through before light can be reborn. Pisces is the last of the signs. It represents the last stage of winter. It might be called the gateway of resurrection. The letter Qoph means the back of the head, and is connected with the potencies of the cerebellum. In the system of the old Aeon, the resurrection of the sun was not only from winter, but from night, and this card represents midnight. "There is a budding morrow in midnight," wrote Keats. For this reason there appears at the bottom of the card, underneath the water which is tinged with glyphs of abomination, the sacred beetle, the Egyptian Khafra, bearing in his mandibles the solar disk. It is this beetle that bears the sun in his silence through the darkness of night and the bitterness of winter. From the Rota of the Nine Chambers, the light in darkness and illusion. From the secret instructions of the Master, let the illusion of the world pass over thee, unheeded, as thou goest from the midnight to the morning. In the Sefer Yetzirah, this path is called the Corporeal Intelligence, or body consciousness. It depicts the growth of every body which is formed in all the worlds, and the reproduction of them. The root of the Hebrew word magsham, the Hebrew word of the intelligence, is sometimes translated corporeal, but has the root verb meaning to rain upon. Above the surface of the water, in this card, is a sinister and forbidding landscape. We see a path or a stream, serum tinged with blood, which flows from a gap between two barren mountains. 9 drops of impure blood, drop-shaped like yods, rain upon it from the moon. This number 9 is perhaps in reference to the 9 months of human gestation. Related to the concept of gestation and of birth, the particular power associated with this path is the divining of destiny, said to be cultivated by the practices in Liber 913, Memoria Vae. This book tells of the methods of thinking backwards in order to understand the causes of your particular situation. This continues, and you continue thinking backwards and backwards and backwards, and eventually one pierces through the barrier of this single human life, attaining the memories of past lives and discovering their causes as well, all the way back to the beginning. All this, as from a reading from the book, all this being perfected so that the memory reaches back into aeons incalculably distant. Let the exempt adept meditate upon the fruitlessness of all those years and upon the fruit thereof, severing that which is transitory and worthless from that which is eternal. And it may be that he, being but an exempt adept, may hold all to be savourless and full of sorrow. This being so, without reluctance will he swear the oath of the abyss. From the 18th chapter of the Book of Lies, 18 being the number of this card. Dewdrops. Verily, love is death, and death is life to come. Man returneth not again. The stream floweth not uphill. The old life is no more. There is a new life that is not his. Yet that life is of his very essence. It is more he than all that he calls he. In the silence of a dewdrop is every tendency of his soul, and of his mind, and of his body. It is the quintessence and the elixir of his being. Therein are the forces that made him, and his father, and his father's father before him. This is the dew of immortality. Let this go free, even as it will. Thou art not its master, but the vehicle of it. The Path of Qoph is guarded by taboo. She is uncleanliness and sorcery. Upon the hills are the black towers of nameless mystery, of horror and of fear, all prejudice, all superstition, dead tradition, and ancestral loathing, all combine to darken her face before the eyes of men. It needs unconquerable courage to begin to tread this path. Here is a weird, deceptive life. The fiery sense is balked. The moon has no air. The knight upon this quest has to rely on the three lower senses: touch, taste, and smell. Such light as there may be is deadlier than darkness, and the silence is wounded by the howling of wild beasts. To what god shall we appeal for aid? It is Anubis, the watcher in the twilight, the god that stands upon the threshold, the jackal god of Chem, who stands in double form between the ways. At his feet, on watch, wait the jackals themselves, to devour the carcasses of those who have not seen him, or who have not known his name. This is a reference to the neophyte ritual of the Golden Dawn, in which the Hyrius, representing Anubis, threatens the candidate with a sword, saying, "Thou canst not pass by me, saith the guardian of the West, unless thou canst tell me my name." To which the reply comes, "Darkness is thy name, the great one of the paths of the shades." Having passed the test, the Hyrius lowers the sword, saying, "Child of earth, fear is failure. Therefore, be without fear, for in the heart of the coward virtue abideth not. Thou hast known me, so pass thou on." This is the threshold of life. This is the threshold of death. All is doubtful. All is mysterious. All is intoxicating. Not the benign solar intoxication of Dionysus, but the dreadful madness of pernicious drugs. This is a drunkenness of sense, after the mind has been abolished by the venom of the moon. This is that which is written of Abraham in the book of the beginning. "And horror of great darkness came upon him." One is reminded of the mental echo of subconscious realization, of that supreme inequity which mystics have constantly celebrated in their accounts of the dark night of the soul. But the best men, the true men, do not consider the matter in such terms at all. Whatever horrors may afflict the soul, whatever abominations may excite the loathing of the heart, whatever terrors may assail the mind, the answer is the same at every stage. How splendid is the adventure! Here is equilibrium among the shells of the cliff-off. And since Crowley does not talk about the dual nature of the hounds and the towers, we turn to our Uncle Oswald Worth for explanation. Near the marsh where Cancer rules, 2 dogs guard the route which is, astronomically speaking, that of the sun. They are the barking animals of the Canicula, the Canis Major and the Canis Minor of the celestial sphere. They bark at the moon to prevent it from crossing the boundary of the tropics, for this capricious star constantly wanders away from the line of the ecliptic, which is outlined by the unchanging journey of the sun. The Canis, dogs, become placed in charge of the defense of the forbidden regions, where the imagination wanders. Their howling increases at the approach of the bold person who has turned aside from the marsh to continue his interrupted pilgrimage. They watch over what is permissible, relating as much to faith and feelings in matters of social or political institutions. The little white dog on the left yaps furiously at the impious, who refuse to believe what is accepted as true. He stands up on his hind legs, for he feels that he is in service of spiritual interests. The big black dog on the right remains lying down by reason of his positivism, which keeps him attached to the earth. Anxious to preserve good order and the intangible rights of property, he howls at the revolutionaries with subversive plans. The person with a firm step walks disdainfully between the two dogs, fills them with fear, and is not bitten by them. But here are two massive fortresses, two square towers, different in form from the round tower of Arcana 16. The flesh-colored walls form living buildings, and their golden crown, placed on a red foundation, likens them to intelligent beings capable of acting with discrimination. They are bodies, or better still, public bodies, placed as sentries to warn foolish men of the dangers that threaten him if, once past the dogs, he aspires to rushing into the treacherous step to which the moon draws him. From the tower on the right, which is lit up, come the reasonable warnings about the sad destiny of Hecate's victims, liable to lose their mental balance, their reason, their physical and moral health, even their life. The dark bodyguard on the left is no more reassuring. It echoes with mystic murmurings of the impiety of giving in to tempting curiosity. Let us remain ignorant, rather than jeopardize the salvation of our soul. Let us think of the paradise lost, and not desire the fruit of the tree of knowledge. If the irresistible attraction of mystery wins him over against the voice of the two towers, nothing then will stop this fated man. Summoned to submit to the fearful trials of initiation, he will go into the darkness of a thick forest, where ghosts will brush past him. Then with difficulty he will have to climb to a height from which his view will stretch far over the silver plain. But a precipice lies in wait for him. He slips on it, and falls bruised into the bottom. The mud here deadens the fall of the climber, who gets up dirty, to limp to the running and purifying water. It is fast-flowing river, which he is forced to swim across, for he must get to the opposite bank, which is arid and burnt. It is in these solitary parts that he must wander until dawn, which will allow him to get his bearings in the dunes, behind which the day will dawn. And thou must work by the light of the moon. By her spells she invoked the scarab, the Lord Khafra, so that the waters were cloven, and the illusion of the powers was destroyed.
Hearken, dark-maned Poseidon, holder of the earth, horse god. You hold the bronze trident in your hand. You dwell in the foundations of the full-bosomed sea. Shaker of the earth, deep-roaring ruler of the waters. The waves are your blossoms, O gracious one, as you urge horses and chariots on, rushing on the sea, splashing through the rippling brine. The unfathomable sea fell to your lot, the third portion. Waves and their wild dwellers please you, O spirit of the deep. May you save the foundations of the earth and ships moving at full tilt, bringing peace, health, and blameless prosperity.
Niox, Epamai, Guanid, 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 Niox,
Quanid Nayax, Ipamai, 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 Quanid Nayax, Ipamai Quaninayax 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 Ipamai Guaninayax, Ipamai, 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 Guaninayax, Ipamai.
Okay, everyone. If you need a little bit more time to scry, please pause the video now. For everyone else, just take a moment to come back to your bodies, to sort of pull yourself away from the vision of Qoph. And thank you. Thanks everyone for coming out and doing these rituals, or if you're seeing this sometime in the future, thanks for making it all the way through the Zodiac. So, yeah, as I said before, there will be a ritual by Brother Jim in the spring. And we're still going to continue doing masses at the space. We'll talk about doing some 231 things there when we have the time. Might take a little break, and then we'll get back on the 231 train. Maybe we will take a thought at doing the Qophotic spirits. Or perhaps one might consider them the sort of the demons or the devils of this system. The tarot cards reversed, or possibly, yeah, some other ideas on that. But yeah, Thanks, Mary. Thanks, DR. And yeah, don't forget to donate. And yeah, I hope to see you all at the temple space in the future. But for now, love is the law, love under will.